Hey folks, Jack here with Rivercat Blues. I'm going to show you how I put braid on a reel. It's a technique that I think will benefit you later. I'll kind of explain what I'm talking about here in a little bit. But it seems like a lot of people don't like using braid for a couple different reasons. I like braid, especially in certain applications that I use, like pulling a planer board. I'll explain more later. This is a pin reel right here that I'm going to use today. We don't have anything on it at the moment. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, this is usually how I install fishing line on a reel. I've got a little rod here that at some point broke. I've had it for a long time. I just cut it off, made it short. You can stick your reels on here to fill them with your line. I've got a setup here. I'll show you how I've got the spool set up. But I'll face the spool full of line. Just kind of hold it. Get your line tied on the reel. Pretty simple. Start cranking it. Get as much line on here as you want, whatever you're going to put on here. And then basically, you're good to go. But this rod and reel is already set up. I've got it clamped on. I didn't want to take it all off the whole dadgum rod again, so I'm just going to leave it on the 7-foot rod here and fill it. Let's go ahead and go to the next step. I'll explain some more stuff. Okay, basically, this is a simple setup for the spool. I've got the vise here. You can stick anything in here you want. I just put in an Allen wrench. This goes on here real simple. It'll spin back and forth there. You can set anything up you want. People use different things, but it just makes it easy to turn and get your line on. Okay, the first thing I do when I put braid on a reel, and some people might not do this, but I know a lot of people do, and I would recommend it, is I'll put some layers of mono down before I put that braid on top of it. Sometimes that braid will spin around your spool when a fish is taken off. You're setting your drag tight. Sometimes that line will actually spin. The mono will keep it from doing that. Now, they do make some reels nowadays that supposedly you don't have to put any mono down, but I always put mono down. So the first thing we're going to do is put some mono down on this reel. It don't take a lot. I'll put 2 or 3, 4 layers across it, maybe even a little more. You just don't want that braid slipping, and it tightens down on this mono and seems to work pretty good this way. So we'll get this on here real quick, and then we're going to go to the next step. Okay, folks, I am going to be running reaction tackle braid today. I've had pretty good luck with this type of braid. This is a 100-pound braid. I usually don't put a 100-pound braid on my reels, but I had this laying around, so I thought, you know what, this is a bigger reel. I'll just stick it on there. Usually 80 is all the bigger I'll go. Most of the time I'm running 65. But anyway, this stuff isn't bad at all. It's a little bit cheaper than some of your bigger companies' braid. Power Pro and stuff's higher than this. Of course, it's really good, but I kind of like the reaction tackle. We're catfishing. I'm not going out in the ocean for big marlin or anything like that, or tuna or whatever. But like I said, I usually don't run this heavy of a braid, but we're going to put it on today. Okay, if you're having trouble with your spool sliding off whatever you're using to hold it on, if you're using a screwdriver, it probably won't because you got the handle, of course. But I just stuck this little pair of vice grips on here, and it'll keep this from actually coming off. A lot less headaches. Okay, I think I've got enough mono down here to put my braid on top of it. I've got my braid tied to the mono. Several knots you can use. Some people use uni knots. Just make sure your knot holds pretty good. most of the time, well, just about all the time I've ever fished, I've never ever went down to where the two lines are joined. I've never had to use that much. Not saying someday it wouldn't happen, get a big old world record catfish on, but I don't have to worry about that. So anyway, we're getting ready to put the mono on. I'm gonna kind of turn it just a little bit here, and this is a conventional, it's not a level line, so you just move your thumb or your fingers back and forth. Try to keep it even. I do anyway. Some people actually bunch it. Some people put, you know, a little bit here and then there and then there and then there and then just keep doing that. I've always just tried to keep it even, kind of like a level line does. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but that's the way I do it anyway. But anyway, we're getting ready to start right now. Here comes the braid in. And then I just kind of, like I said, I try to keep it even. You can watch it if there's a little build up here and there. Just kind of fill it up. That's the way I do it. But a lot of people put it on different. This is how we're going to put it on. Now I'm going to show you my trick here in just a little bit. I think it's something that you're going to need to do. I've heard a lot of complaints about what happens if you don't do something like that, like I'm getting ready to show you. I'll explain it all here in a little bit, but for now, we're just going to put the braid on. You can see it going on there. No big deal here, everybody can do this. All right, folks, get the rest of my braid here. Bring it up to about here. I am loaded. I am spooled. Now, a lot of people don't fill them all the way to the top, which I always do anyway, but you don't have to. But I'm going to show you my trick now. A lot of people, they're ready to go fishing. I've got it spooled. I'm ready to put my leaders, whatever you're going to fish with. I'm ready to go fishing, right? Well, I'm not ready to go fishing. Some people take it like this. I'm going to show you what could happen, probably what will happen if you hook up to a big fish of some sort, with it being just like this. I mean, we just free spooled it on. It's on here. But I'm not quite ready to go, and I'm going to show you why, and I'm going to show you my trick right now. All right. As you can tell, we are outside. It is a early March day. I don't know, 5th, 6th, somewhere around in there. Very warm today. I should have went fishing, but I'm having some boat trouble. I don't fish a lot in the winter. You can catch some big fish in the winter. I just don't like the cold. But anyway, I'm having some boat trouble, so trying to get that all lined up and fixed, and then we're going to get back out on the water pretty quick. But I wanted to show you this. Okay, I've got this rod and reel set up to fish now. Got my barrel swivel on there. And most of the time, when people spool the braid on, like I showed you, they're ready to go fishing. You might be able to get away with it if you don't hook something really, really big. Well, I'm going to show you what can happen if you don't do what I'm getting ready to do. Now, I just stick this on here. I'm going to show you why. We're not going to fish with it. And you can tie this onto anything. Truck hitch, lawnmower, back of the boat for a while. I mean, whatever you can do, a tree limb. We're just going to hook this to this hitch. Let me see if I can get you down here a little bit. So I'm just going to stick this hook right in that hitch. Going to give me something to hang on to. A lot of you guys are thinking, what in the world? I know, but a lot of you already know what I'm going to do. So I never wear a chest rig. I've got this thing on all screwed up. I got to fix this. I don't ever use a chest rig. I know a lot of YouTubers do, but I I want to see more than what you can show with a chest rig. I mean, you're right up here close and you can see a lot. I'm not saying that it's not good to use one, but I don't like them because to me, I just can't, I can't show everything I'm wanting to show when I'm fishing. But anyway, let's move on a little farther here. Okay, we're going to spool a little bit of line off, and then I'm going to show you something. Go just a little bit farther. Okay, spool just a little bit more off. Now I want to try to get this, as you can see. I mean, we got a full spool of braid. We're ready to go fishing, supposedly anyway. So I'm going to try to put this. I'm going to try to put this line in the middle so we can see just a little better here. Hold on a minute. Yeah, I'll probably do it right there. Okay, so we're ready to go fishing, and we are fishing. You can throw it, we're out there, or you let it off from the boat, however you're going to do it. You hook a good fish, you hook a monster. He's going to pull some drag. Let me show you something. I can't even get it up here to you, so hold on, I'm going to push this a little closer. All right. Can you see that? Can you see what happened? This is loose braid. We just spooled it on. What happened was it pulled way down inside of itself, as you can see. Way down inside of itself. So far that I can't hardly get it back out. Now you're messed up. You got a big fish on. I mean, if we really get after it, I could probably get it. But if you're using lighter line, you might break that. I never fish with loose braid. I even do my mono like this. I've never really had an issue with mono, but I've heard some people that did. So let me show you how I fix this before I even go fishing, before we have this issue. There's probably other ways to do it. This is just the way I do it because I know it's going to be right. I know what I want to do. Let's do it. Okay, before I try to remedy this problem, I want to show you one more time. I've got my chest rig on. I hate chest rigs, but I've already talked about that. But anyway, let's see if we can get down here real slow. I'm going to start backing up. I'm still tied to the side by side. I've got the first bird nest, whatever you want to call, out. Let's see what happens here. Starting to pull a little drag, but it's going down in there. I could tighten that drag more. Now can you see? It's buried in itself right there. Just buried, it's buried down in it. We don't want that. This is loose braid, just spool it on. A lot of people run into this and they hate braid. Well, I would too. Let me show you how to fix this. Okay, I've got this bird nest back out. We've reeled back up. Now, I know this is a pain in the rear for a lot of people because you're actually re-spooling twice. But this is what I do so that I would never have this issue ever. We're gonna walk this off. Now I'm not gonna film all this because I got a long way to go, but take this braid almost back down to your mono. You don't have to go all the way, but get it down really close. See, it's still hanging up. Look, we're hung up right there. You can see what this looks like after I bird nested it 2 or 3 times. It's just almost cutting back into itself. But let's keep going. Let's get all this off. Let's get all this off. Look at that. Let's keep it going. We gotta go way down. Here we go. Look how far I've walked, and look, we're still, look at that. You can still see where it's been messed up. That's how far, that's how deep we went earlier. That's how deep we went. Look at the knots right in here. Hope you can see that. Let's try up here. All right, let's get all past this and I'll show you. All right, folks, I didn't have enough room where I was at to spool this thing down, so we're out in the middle of the field. So I put too much line on this thing, but I mean, I don't know if you can, you probably can't even see the four-wheeler. Let me turn you up here. It's way up there. I got way too much line on this thing, but I'm going to stop right here where we're at. I'm not going to go any further down. The mono is not too much farther down underneath this. So what we're going to do, make sure your drag is tight for this. You want to tighten it down if it's super loose, because you want to be able to crank it. What we're going to do is I'm going to back up a little bit, and I'm going to put some pressure, quite a bit of pressure. Like I got a big old fish on there right now. Turn this just a little bit here, sorry. Trying to line you up. All right, now, after I got that pressure, that rod's bent pretty good. I'm going to start cranking it, and I'm going to walk. I'm going to keep very, very tight pressure on this. Very tight. We want that there braid to stack down on itself super tight. We don't want any gaps. We don't want it to be able to push or to pull back down within itself when you get something big on this. And I'm putting some pressure on it. I mean, it's getting hard to crank. I mean, I don't know if you can see that rod. Let me turn you up here. I got that rod tip tight. So we're gonna keep it tight. Like you got a big old blue, big old flatty, big old channel cat, big old bass, whatever you fish for, big old marlin. I've never tried that, but I wouldn't mind doing it. But anyway, just keep her tight, keep it going. I know this takes some time, but you ain't never got to worry about this pulling down into itself. Well, I've never had an issue ever after doing this right here. I know it's a pain in the rear, but so is hanging up that line down inside itself when you got a big fish on. Believe me, I've done that too, and it sucks. Man, I put too much line on here. Woo! I got a long way to go. But anyway, you get the idea. Keep her bent. If you can see that, keep her bent. You want a lot of pressure on it. Not so much you can't reel it, but I mean that's why we tighten this drag up, so I can keep that pressure. Let me bring you down one more time. You want to keep that pressure on, and you can see that line's just going right on there the way it's supposed to. Super tight. There ain't gonna be no gaps, no loose braid on here at all when I'm done. All right, I'm gonna shut this off till we get up there to the four-wheeler, and I'm gonna show you one more thing. All right, folks, I've made it back to the four-wheeler. If you look at this, I'll try to get up a little closer here. Let me get her down here. If you look at this, after I've got it on there, this is the same amount of line. I never cut any off, but you can see the gap right there and the gap right here on the spool. Looks like it's not as much line on there as it was when we first started. That's because everything's compressed and tight now. And I am ready to go fishing. Let me show you real quick how I set my drag, and then we're done. This is how I set my drag. You don't have to come this far back, but it's the way I do it. Okay, I'm going to loosen it up, and we're going to start. I had it pretty tight. We'll go. Okay, this is easy to strip off. You can see that it's coming right off. So we know we want it tighter than that. So I'm gonna do a couple clicks here. And then what I do is I'll put some pressure on this. I'll hold that rod. I won't hold it down like this because it's easy to pull off. You know, it's real easy to pull off like that. So we want that rod to put some pressure down. So we're gonna bend her down. We're gonna watch this, and I'm gonna start backing up slowly. Now see that drag's coming off. I want to go a little tighter than that myself. I'm gonna go 3, 4, 5 clicks. We're gonna try it again. Put some pressure down on that rod. That's getting closer. Now again, if you hold it like this, she comes right off. You want that rod to help hold that fish back and your drag too. So that rod's gonna bend over with him, and it's putting pressure on that fish, and then you're gonna engage this after he gets really going. You're gonna engage that. I'm gonna go just a little bit more. That ain't bad right there. So if you're in the rod holder and a big old cat takes it over, you know, he'll just crank going down. We'll make it straight. Crank down, and then he's gonna start pulling drag. But you want him to pull some drag, because if you really got this tight and you don't have a good hookup, she'll rip out. But I don't want it too loose either. Maybe one click. I'm gonna try right there. Now you can engage your clicker if you want. To me, that's pretty good right there. Now, of course, if you get your fish on and he's too much drag or whatever, you know, you can mess with this and do what you got to do to keep from losing that fish. You don't want him breaking your line. But I'm going to leave it right there. All right. I don't know what reel this is. Oh, this is the Penn Torque 300 is what I've been using. Okay, I think this is set. Anyway, I hope that helps you put your braid on. I'm sure there's a better way to do it. You guys may think this way sucks. Well, it might suck, but it works for me. I mean, I am very confident after I do what I just did. I ain't worried about this at all. You can see right there, pulling it. It ain't going in there. We'll really test it now. Oh boy, it still ain't going in there. Flip it straight out. That's what you want. I gotta back this back up. I don't know where it was. I will break a fish off if I do that. All right, I'll reset it. Anyway, I hope this helps. If it didn't, well, guess it don't matter then. I just know a lot of people, I've had friends do it. Spool up the braid. Man, we're ready to go fishing. Go out there and get that hung up like I showed you. It happens. And then even if you try to throw, if you don't realize it happened and you reel it on in and then you make a real long cast, when it hits that, you're not going to be happy. It's not going to be a good situation when it hits that hang up in there. But hope this helps somebody. Everybody keep doing what you're doing out there. Everybody keep on fishing, which we're going to be here pretty quick. And rods down, people. Rods down. Boom!